design has any bleachers.
There'll be no spectators using,
I don't remember seeing, do you have any bleachers? I don't know.
There was no
No.
seating.
But it looks pretty narrow when I look at the South Side Athletic Fields rendering. It doesn't look like there's that much space around
Yeah,
there.
again, the site is gonna be pretty congested when all of this is done, and you are, basically, I don't think there is room to add anything over there, so.
Well, it certainly feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Hopefully.
Is that a 25 yards, the pool?
25 meters, right, Elliot?
Yes.
Oh, it's meters?
the present pool is 25 meters, the indoor gym?
Prison pool's yards.
I'm not quite sure what swim gym is currently.
I don't know.
It's yards. It's
Oh,
yards.
it's 25.
Well,
Yeah, it's 25.
will the outdoor pool qualify for meets by being
Yes,
proper length?
Yes.
What, 50 meters?
it's at all the standards for the competition pool size, yes.
Or meters, right? Yeah, because I don't think we can hold CIF
No,
competitions
cannot.
We
anymore
cannot.
because of that reason.
So does that mean the swim gym pool is smaller or bigger than the new pool?
It's smaller.
I think
Smaller.
this engine is small.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow, so it's gonna be pretty big.
Yeah.
that's
This
a
is gonna be the
pretty big-
nicest pool, as far as
In the city.
the city, being
Yeah.
within the city limits, that's not a private pool.
And maybe the only.
And the only,
Yeah.
it will be, that in the swimming.
Yeah, I mean, even though there's no spectators, there will, I assume there'll be seating for the teams and stuff like that. They'll be able to have.
I think there are some funny walls around it, but again, it's not really something to accommodate people to sit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've taken into consideration the fact that if this is a larger pool and it's outdoors, it's gonna require a lot of water replenishment during the seasons and the use of water.
Should get a couple.
Well, it can be covered, during the season that helps to basically save some water. But it's gonna have a basically mechanical room or like pump room that basically accommodates the need of that, so all of that's calculated.
Do we wanna add a cover now so that
I
we
think
save
that's
on
it.
heating
Don't
costs?
we have a cover that rolls into the?
An exterior cover?
No.
I don't think there is anything in the current scope. We can look at it, but I haven't seen anything.
I mean, I have used pools, that have covers in them, and they're not that expensive to cover, and I feel like it really saves over time. If it wouldn't add to,
We definitely can look into
Yeah.
that, again, that's something that always can add, it's not really something complicated.
because it's electronic, so it's gotta go up with the main construction, but I would be interested in that, I think that's something that then we would look back and think, why didn't we just pull the trigger on that?
Sure, say, you wanna make a note and just talk.
From my recent experience with pools, you also have to do it has to be approved as far as the design, it has to be,
Yeah.
the covers have to be engineered because it changes how the coping is structured.
Yeah.
So, we should, if now's the time to look into that.
We will look
Yeah,
into
we will.
that, definitely.
Cause there is something to be said that you can't lose water to evaporation if you're covered,
Yeah,
and you might be able to save in the long, it might take you a few years to make it back, but, it might
Eventually.
be worth it.
Sure, we will look into that.
That's also something has to break and need to get fixed.
it's true, but,
So challenges on this, can you go back, sorry? Challenges on the program, as I talked about it, is AQMD approval of the variance, that we are getting very close to that. We need that before the start of construction for the retaining walls. DTSC approval of overall site mitigation plan. If you remember when we came on board, we changed this 5 feet requirement of clean soil everywhere around the site to 1 feet. We got the verbal approval from DTSC and they are in agreement with that. We just need to have, it's already submitted and we are waiting for the final approval of DTSC. That's also again the huge step in the right direction for as far as saving and also facilitating an easier construction. DSA approval of the south side project is still pending. And the soil conditions, again, we don't know what we don't know. We have done a lot of research and testing and investigation around the site to make sure wherever we have clean soil can be identified and reused. But if we get to an unforeseen, as soon as we excavate, because we all know that we had oil facilities around the site, so that might be something that it's gonna add challenge and cost to our current budget.
Understood.
Our overall budget, since our last time, that I believe it was over a year ago, we are still in really good shape. So this is based on our recent actual value of the projects and the estimates and so on. Basically, the budgets again are very similar. The good news is we have the final cost of El Rodeo project. So from the contingency, we are gonna have about $6.1 million saving that's gonna come in front of you tonight. That would help us our overall deficit and budget. So all in all, right now, we are very conservatively, I just wanna put a disclaimer here, very conservatively, we are around $16 million in red, but you are in queue for some state matching fund. This is based on not even calculating any of the interest on your bond money, which is gonna by itself be around like $1 million. There are some encumbrances in our current budget that I rather keep it and see what's gonna happen till move it back to our basically money. If all the good things happen without considering a state matching fund for El Rodeo that we need to wait to see if the state bond is gonna pass in November or not. Without considering that, if all the things happen positively with some numbers that we are in hand, this number is gonna be around $10 million. So which is really good compared to what we had when we started. If you remember, we were talking about $60–70 million in red.
Seriously,
Right now, we are just closing the gap. So if we get all the state matching funds,
It is
will be
magic,
magic.
as you just said.
If the magic happens, the bond pass and the state works very fast, so you may be able to utilize that with a bridge like loan and just against that the state matching fund and very just quickly pay it back if we get the money back from the state, it is all ifs, but I think again, conservatively around 16, optimistically and positively you are around $10 million.
And just one thing on the budget side as well, that, you know, as Amin mentioned, that is really important to know. We have over $20 million in modernization eligibility. So that's great news. There's a bond going in November. We ask all of you, of course, to support that bond because that will help accelerate our status in the queue to approve this. So that's really important. But if we were to get that, that puts us in the positive if we were to just do that. So then you'd have to get some sort of a bridge loan that Amin was talking about. We've talked to our consultants with Kiana, and they mentioned that basically we could potentially tap into, and these other school districts are actually doing this, where they're using their developer fee funds to make a payment towards the loan that they would have issued for a COPS, or certificate of participation. So we could explore that route. It's you know, so that's something that we could do too. And so we're really happy about this, and I'm thankful to Amin and his team, everyone, for really finding a way to get us there. I did want you to kind of talk a little bit about the items added to the bond scope.
Sure. So since last time that we presented that budget and the original deficit, there were items that basically added to the scope. If you remember, one of the value engineering items that I was presenting at that time was to not to build any restroom or storage facilities for the south side. The decision of the
later,
board
yeah.
said no, let's have it and design it. And my goal still is when we go to procurement for this project, I'm just gonna have all these buildings to be priced separately. So when we present it to you, you can pick and choose and say, okay, we wanna build this storage, we don't wanna build this storage, and that also might be a way to help us to bring things back to the budget. So that was around $3 million, so that's a number that's added. I also discussed that can we eliminate the baseball and football field bleachers, and the board decision was no. So that was another $2 million that is already in our current design. There was some added insurance cost with El Rodeo and B3 before that wasn't properly budgeted, and we were not aware of that cost when we were working toward the budget. This was basically mainly past due and normally was supposed to be paid when we came on board, but it wasn't. So that was another $4.2 million that we had to incur.
And to add to that, really across the board, insurance costs are just skyrocketing
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
Yep.
So that's a combination of that. Like maybe it was you know, misguided as far as the estimate, but on top of that, just the increase. I mean, just on the district premium, it was about a 21% increase in our property liability insurance. So the increases are skyrocketing, and so that's why you're seeing such a big number.
Added elbow furniture and additional work, there were items that was added after completion. If you remember, board approved a $200,000 budgetary number for additional furniture. We are bringing another contract in front of board tonight for additional landscaping because the school wants to have grass around the kindergarten yard. That's another like $85,000. So all that adds up. So far, like from that budget that was presented, it's about like $768,000 added to the budget for El Rodeo. The DSA fees for B1, B2, that wasn't calculated properly because these contracts were gradually basically developed. So the fee that was paid to DSA was based on that original GMP, and because we had multiple amendments, so we owed about $500,000 to DSA that we paid that money. But right now we know, and we calculated like anticipated additional fees for El Rodeo, and because B3, B4 is also the same bay, so these are all gradual GMPs. So the application amount is not really accurate. We have to through the number when we finish the project. So we set aside about $1.1 million budget for that. Bless you.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
There was some rental fees in addition till we were able to remove the maintenance, and that was also a good amount of saving. If we would keep those trailers up there, we would just bleeding more money, but that was another $100,000. And Horseman new playground and shaded structure, again, although this goes against the developer fees, but this is basically all the buckets of money that we have. And again, there were miscellaneous services here and there. So far, since that presentation, we have like added about $15 million. We have $6 million saving, and we have additional more savings. Like we in our budget, for example, we were anticipating the cost of redesign of building C is gonna be a lot more. I mean, we were able to negotiate with DLR, and they were really helpful and considering. So we saved about $600,000 on that on our budget, and our upper athletic field, the GMP that we have in our hand compared to the budget is about $720,000 less. So that is also like $1.2 million saving from this. So again, so far this is our overall budget, and based on what we have in our hand, the budget for our future projects and whatever money we have, conservatively, we are about $16.5 million. But I am sure that this number is gonna be, even by end of this year, is gonna be positively improved.
But also, Raphael, at your convenience, it would be helpful when these things come to us, if you could give us a heads up on how much in developer fees we do have on the side, you know, so that we can, when we're asked to pick and choose, we can also know which of those dollars maybe we can plug and play for these purposes.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, honestly, there are some, as you all know, some other developments happening. Those developer fees should be coming in soon, but they're going to be larger than normal. I don't know exactly what that amount is going to be yet, but I anticipate within, I think, 3 to 4 years, when you see like the development for Beverly Hills 1 and things like that, that's going to start bringing in some of those fees.
So maybe, as Amin says, more and more good news, and we get a couple windfalls, and then.
Yeah, I think it's going to close the gap, for sure. And to Amin's point, I mean, it's been such a great job in regards to the estimations, which I thank your team for, because I mean, just with this large project for Building C, you said it was within 5%, which is it's almost unheard of. Usually, you see like this 20% variances almost, and so we're right in the money with those. So I do believe it's going to be lower than that, hopefully.
Yeah, again, I'm very glad like our estimate and budget for the contract that we got for upper athletic field is even less than what we budgeted for. So in this market and situation, as Raphael said, it's unheard of, but it's all right, good steps in the right direction. Just refreshment of our memories, like what was the savings that we originally anticipated, and we are seeing all of that, about $8.4 million for changes in building C and removal of the parking structure, elimination of retaining wall number 5, which is basically the result of that. We are gonna have the parking lot over there, and it's gonna have, the area is gonna be lower. That was about $2.1 million saving. The change of the height for retaining wall number 3 and 4, and the earthwork around surrounding that, that's about $3 million, even more based on the numbers that we got from Erickson Hall. It's even more than 3 million, but just conservatively $3 million saving. Software relocation, changing the elevations, and again additional earthwork, that's another $300,000. And this mass excavation around the site and dirt handling, with all in all the works that team did, that's another like $4 million saving. So it's about $18 million saving. That's, it's right now we see the result of all of that in these contracts.
Great. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, I just wanna thank you
Yeah.
all for the
Thank you.
presentation, keeping us informed. I appreciate the monthly reports as well. Thank you everybody for
Yes,
coming
thank you.
today and
Really.
showing a force of strength. It's wonderful to see you all, and that is all I have.
And thank you for also, giving a special attention to the magical front lawn, because I do think that is a symbol of gathering and lends itself to all sorts of things, and has been a point of discussion for a long time. So I thank you for, starting up the conversation about that, because that is certainly a crucial part of the experience of being a student
Thank you.
here. So thank you. Okay, with that, we can
Thank you.
adjourn the study session.
Great.
And I just want to thank Raphael for his
Yeah.
leadership. I know he's not going to be with us for such a long time, but again, we enjoyed working with him, and thank you so much for your leadership and all the guidance.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you all. I mean, the communication and the transparency have been great for us, and so thank you for all of you together, truly being the gold standard. And you're giving our kids and our community everything that this bond was meant to do for them, and I don't think we'd be able to do it without this particular group. So you are, I thank you on behalf of my community, my children, my neighbors, and myself, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.